Hi everyone, hot off the press right now, Diddy judge explodes at rapper for absolutely unacceptable attempt to sway the jury. Let's get into this article and discuss the behavior. Welcome to Revealing the Crime, where we explore true crime manipulation tactics and the psychology behind criminal behavior, especially cluster B traits. This channel is for discussion and education, not diagnosis. Viewer discretion is advised, as some topics may be disturbing. Let's uncover the truth one case at a time. During the trial today, Judge Subramanian noticed that Diddy was nodding vigorously at the jury, warning that he would kick him out of his own trial if he continued this behavior. So, what is going on here? This wasn't nervous fidgeting. This was a power play. When you're dealing with someone exhibiting cluster B traits, especially those linked to antisocial personality disorder or malignant narcissism, courtroom rules aren't deterrents, they're challenges. And in that moment, Diddy wasn't just nodding, he was testing the system. That nod actually signals five things. The first is dominance display. He's not nodding to agree, he's nodding to say, I control the story. I'm above the rules. I still own the room. The next is intimidation. He knows he's not allowed to speak, so he's using nonverbal cues to signal power, superiority, and control to the jury. This is predatory social intelligence, manipulation that doesn't technically break the rules, but absolutely undermines the integrity of the process. The third is triangulation in real time. He's inserting himself between the victim and the jury, creating an invisible alliance suggesting, I'm on your side, she's confused. It's emotional grooming disguised as courtroom decorum. The fourth is boundary violation. People with high cluster B traits often push limits just to see who will enforce them. The judge had to tell him to stop, and that's exactly the moment he wanted to provoke. And finally, antisocial arrogance. This is a man who controlled people through money, violence, and fear. Nodding at the juries is not about persuasion, it's about reasserting psychological dominance, even as he's being prosecuted. Diddy wasn't nodding, he was testing the limits of what he could get away with. That's cluster B pathology. You don't need words when you've mastered manipulation through eye contact, body language, and silent pressure. The nod was a message. I'm still in control no matter what the witness says. The article then continues and discusses the testimony of Jane, and there wasn't a lot of information about the testimony, but I do want to point out the very last sentence here. It says, he also had control over her life in other ways, she said, including by paying the rent on her home. This is what's called financial coercion, but before we get into it, please note I am not a therapist, lawyer, or licensed counselor. Everything shared here is based on personal perspective, public reporting, and psychological frameworks intended for awareness. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse or coercion, please reach out to a trained professional or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their information will be at the end of the video, and you can find a link to their website in the description of this video. So let's get into it. What we're seeing here is actually financial coercion. This is a form of abuse where one person controls another's access to money, employment, or basic needs in order to gain power and limit their freedom. It's common in domestic abuse and relationships involving people with cluster B personalities. What does it look like? It could be paying rent or bills, using it to control movements or choices, making you ask permission to spend your own money, sabotaging your job, income, or credit, forcing you to depend on them financially, then weaponizing that dependency, gifting things with strings attached, and collecting repayment through compliance or silence. The key pattern here is it's not support, it's control disguised as care. It's incredibly difficult to leave. People experiencing financial coercion often can't afford to move out or escape safely. They have no access to personal bank accounts. They fear homelessness or losing their children. They feel isolated, ashamed, or gaslit into thinking it's not abuse. This all creates a cycle of entrapment where leaving feels more dangerous than staying. Here are a couple of tips to begin reclaiming power. However, if you're in danger, safety comes first. Reach out to a trained advocate before taking any major steps. But here's a list of a couple of things you can do if you feel safe doing so. Start documenting the abuse privately. Open a hidden bank account at a new bank if possible. Begin stashing small amounts of cash in a safe private location. Look for remote work or cash gigs under trusted supervision. Reach out anonymously to an advocate or shelter for a safety plan. Right now on the screen, you can see how you can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for a meaningful way to support something beyond the screen, I'd love for you to consider making a small donation to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They provide 24/7 support and resources for people in unsafe or overwhelming situations, whether it's emotional, physical, or just hard to name. You'll find the link down in the description. Every little bit helps and it means a lot. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you so much for listening and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.